Hey everyone, welcome to the video. Let's go over the 6-game NBA slate for today on Draftkings. But before we continue, as always, if you guys could just leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. Really helps me out. Really appreciate it. You also follow me over on Twitter. I'm at Pennell16. If you do want to support me over on Patreon, it's seriously much appreciated. You get access to any of the extra content that I put out every single night or every single week, just depending on the sport. If you want my NBA content, you get access to my entire NBA spreadsheet. Everything's color-coded, nice and neat, so you know what's good, what's bad. My projections that update all the way up until lock. My cheat sheet, my core plays, my data sheet, projections tab, DVP chart, you name it, it's on there. And you also get access to my Discord chat as well, where you can ask me all the questions you want, and I'll just put any additional information in there as well. And I should mention NASCAR. I am putting out a lot of NASCAR content out tomorrow, or I guess today, actually, because it's 1 a.m. So a lot of NASCAR content is coming out on Saturday, which is today, because the race is going to be on Sunday, and we have qualifying at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. So I'll probably be getting a lot of the stuff out around 4 p.m. So I'm looking forward to that. That's kind of like it's my big sport, I would say. It gets the most views on YouTube, and it's my most popular thing over on Patreon, but you get access to a similar data sheet. I do projections on there. I actually do an article for NASCAR, so you have no idea about NASCAR at all. I know a lot of people in my Discord chat probably have no idea, but we've been having a very, very good start to the season with Daytona. We pretty much crushed that. So looking to extend that on to Las Vegas. So if you guys do want to try it out, you can hit the link in the description below. It'll take you to my Patreon. You can sign up whatever you want. And we also have MLB coming up in about a month, which I'm also excited about, because for that spreadsheet for MLB, it's like very numbers driven. So it's a monster spreadsheet, but I am looking forward to MLB season. I hope you guys are as well. But I think that's it for the plugging. I think we can get right into this video. So we're going to start up top with Trae Young. And you're definitely going to want to get exposure to this game. This is the top game of the night. We have Atlanta versus Dallas, and we have a 239 total. That's the highest on the slate. I know the Miami-Cleveland game does not have a total yet, but I can't imagine that's going to come close to 239. It might touch about 230-ish, but it's not going to hit 239, so you definitely want exposure to this game. And Trae Young, he's coming off an absolute monster performance. If you guys can hear that jingling, it's my dog running around. Hopefully it just goes and lays down, so I don't hear that jingling the whole time. But yeah, Trae Young, he dropped, what, 50 straight, not 50 straight points, but 50 points even. I believe that's what it was, but he absolutely balled out in the last game. I believe it was versus Miami. So yeah, I mean, that's just kind of upside he has. And it was a tough matchup versus Miami, but it did not matter. He just went out there and crushed, and that's the kind of upside he has every single night. So if you're game stacking this up, you definitely want to get exposure to Trae. I think he's going to be lower owned than Luka, because considering he is more expensive than Luka, which I think is just a mistake in its own. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, Trae Young, I mean, if you can play both, if you can fit both, I should say, I think that's totally a great way to go. But Trae Young by himself, definitely a good option. And we have a 6-point spread, which is not too bad. So I think that's also going to help Trae Young, because Atlanta is a pretty bad team defensively. But 239 total, with a 6-point spread, the game should stay close, and he can definitely hit his ceiling here. We know his ceiling, it's about 80 fantasy points. I mean, he's done it. I know he had the 80-point game versus Houston. I don't think he's done it since, but he had that 70-point game just last time out versus Miami. So certainly has the upside every single night. And Atlanta's just so bad defensively. It leads to very high-scoring games, and they also play very fast. They're fourth in pace of play, while Dallas is 24th, but they are playing in Atlanta, so I do think this game is going to be pretty high-paced, because I think Atlanta will control that. And on the season, he's at 1.45 points per minute with a 35% usage rate. The matchup versus Dallas is not great. If you look at the DVP chart, Dallas does rank 13th versus point guards and 12th versus shooting guards. They're a little bit better than mid-pack versus the guard position, but it's not like they're absolutely locked down. But Miami, I mean, they're 4th versus point guards, and he's still balled out. So he's a matchup-proof kind of player, so we can certainly look Trae Young's way. I love the upside that he has, and he should be a lot lower owned than Luka. And speaking of Luka, he is the best player on the slate. He's 10,200, and it makes no sense. He's going up against Atlanta. They dropped his price, and it's also a back-to-back, so Kristaps Porzingis may miss this game. And if Kristaps Porzingis misses this game, Luka's almost at 2 points per minute, and he's going to play over 30 minutes, so he's an absolute smash play whether Kristaps plays or not. But love Luka here. He should be able to smash this price tag. He should never be priced around this price range. This has been a while since he's been priced in that low 10K range. Okay, so I actually paused the video really quick because I wanted to see how long it's been since he's been priced this low. And this is the lowest price he's had since playing against the Knicks on November 14th. November 14th. That's a long time ago, so I don't really understand the pricing here, but we will take it versus Atlanta. It's the best matchup you can ask for. If we head over to the DVP chart, Atlanta does rank dead last on on defense overall, and they rank 18th versus point guards and 28th versus shooting guards. So I think Luka absolutely smashes here. Also a nice pace-up spot, like I said. Atlanta is 4th in pace-up play, and they're 24th, so it's a pretty massive pace-up spot. That's 20 spot differential there. And they have 122.5 implied team total, which is highest on the slate. 239 over/under. And like I said, if Kristaps misses, his numbers are insane. On the year, they're insane already. 1.69 points per minute, the 37% usage rate. If you take Kristaps off the court, that's about it's close to 2 points per minute with about a 40% usage rate. So, yeah, Luka, either way, he's my favorite play of the slate. Definitely pretty much going to be locking him in. I don't see why we wouldn't. Zach LaVine at 8,900, so we have a pretty big price drop off at this point, but you certainly got to have interest in LaVine. I know he's pretty expensive, but there's a lot of missing bodies on Chicago, and he's just the man there. He's got it close to a 40% usage rate. 31% just on the season, but if you take all those guys off the court, he is the man, about a little bit above 35%, and he's almost at 1.4 points per minute, so we can certainly look his way. It's a good spot versus Phoenix, pace-up spot here, as Phoenix is 10th in pace-up play, while Chicago is more middle of the pack. And if we head over to the DVP chart, Phoenix, they do rank 17th versus point guards, 23rd versus shooting guards, so really good spot for Zach LaVine, top 10 matchup, and, I love his upside. He almost had, 70 points that one night. Or you might have actually had 70. I forget against who was against. I want to say it was New Orleans, but I don't know if that sounds right or not. I don't have the game log in front of me, but the guy's got plenty of upside. He's gonna play all the minutes he can handle. So yeah, you can look Zach LaVine's way. DeAndre Ayton, he gets that elite matchup versus Chicago, staying in the same game as LaVine, but I don't think he's gonna get too much ownership considering his price tag. But this could make him a pretty solid GPP play. This game is only a 1.5 point spread. I know it's not the highest total in the world at 220, but not the worst. At least it's not 212 like it's Charlotte and Brooklyn, but I like the spot for Ayton because just Chicago is so bad down low. They rank 30th versus centers and 29th versus power forwards. I mean, they're just an absolute dumpster fire down low. So DeAndre Ayton should be able to take advantage here. They don't really have anyone that can really contend with him down low. And if you look at his numbers on the season, 1.23 points per minute with a 23.9% usage rate, averaging 33 minutes per game. I know he's a little bit expensive, but Chicago's just so bad defensively versus big men. I think Ayton can pay off that price tag. Bam Adebayo, he's coming off a 70-point monster fantasy outing. I actually was fortunate enough to play him and Embiid together. They got 140 points, I believe. Yeah, Embiid had 69 and Bam had 70 or 71. So yeah, Bam, he balled out. Now he was below 8K, which I thought was just way too cheap versus Atlanta, but he gets a really good spot here versus Cleveland. Now, this price tag does not make him like an absolute lock just because of what he did last game, because we are pushing the price tag a little bit. This is more on the high end for Bam Adebayo, but he certainly has potential. We've seen that. Now, the problem is I could easily see Cleveland getting blown out here. And as you can see, they're 13-point favorites, and they're also playing at home in Miami. And we know Cleveland's pretty much a dumpster fire, so that's the issue. If you play Bam, you're hoping the game stays close, so you might want to run it back with someone on Cleveland because that would just make sense from a GPP point of view. But in a vacuum, if he ended up getting 35 minutes, he should be able to pay off his price tag. He's at 1.17 points per minute, and Cleveland's just so bad defensively. They rank second worst. They're ranked 20th versus centers, but Andre Drummond, he is not good defensively. If we head over to Detroit, where he played most of the season, they're 24th versus center, so he's been bad down low all year, pretty lazy defensively. So I think Bam's fine in GPPs, probably won't get there in cash games. John Collins just staying in this game because I definitely want exposure to it. Sorry, I paused really quick again. I wanted to check the final scores of all the games that just happened, and my gosh, Anthony Davis, what a comeback. He had 2 points at the end of the first quarter because he got hurt in like the first minute 30, 2 minutes, whatever. And he's in my lineup, and I was very, very sad about that. I ended up with 66. I don't know how we did that. I think he had like 6 or 7 blocks. That's crazy. But yeah, it was a chalky night. The lineup I ended up going with, I think there wasn't a guy below 3% ownership. It was crazy chalk, and I'm doing well. Hopefully you guys are good too. But that's enough looking at last night. Let's continue. I was talking about John Collins though, and I just want exposure to this game. Again, not the greatest matchup in the world versus Dallas, but you got 239 total. I'm just going to look past matchups, to be honest. I just want exposure to this game. I think everyone has a chance to hit their potential, or at least close to it. I mean, it's a tight spread. And on the year, Collins is at 1.23 points per minute and 22.7% usage rate. Got him for mid-30s minutes. He should be fine. He's a little bit expensive, so I wouldn't get there in cash games, but he's fine in GPPs if you're game stacking this game up. Jimmy Butler, same can be said what I just said about Bam Adebayo. They both had good games. They both got their prices knocked up a little bit. Bam Adebayo much higher, but Jimmy Butler's still 8,200, which I think is a fine price tag. Now, the problem is the game's a 13-point spread, which this could get out of hand, especially in Miami. But in a vacuum, if this game stays close and he gets his usual minutes, he should be able to crush Cleveland. They're just so bad defensively. Second worst overall, 30th versus point guards, 30th versus shooting guards, and 29th versus small forwards. So there's really nothing bad I can say about Jimmy Butler. And I just, he seems fine at this price tag. When he's around 9K, I'd usually like to pass on him. But when he's in this high 7K, low 8K price range, I just feel safe plugging him in for cash games, which I don't know if I do that considering the 13-point spread. But on the year, he's at 1.23 points per minute, 25% usage rate. He's fine. So, Jimmy Butler, if you want to play him, I wouldn't talk you out of it. Just know that there's a risk of this game blowing out, and he's not going to play in the fourth quarter. Kristaps Porzingis, so it is a back-to-back, and he's been known not to play on these back-to-backs. So, don't be surprised if you get that Fantasy Labs notification that it says that he's out for rest. Now, we did have the All-Star break, so he's well rested, but he did just play last night. So, I could see him not playing. So, and if he doesn't play, I definitely bump Luka Doncic up. But if he plays, you can play him and Luka. I think that's totally fine. 8K is not a bad price tag, and I believe he just had a really good game tonight. I did not see his final box score, but I want to say he had, I think I saw something on Twitter, Bleacher Report. He had 25 points and then 5 at the end, and I forget his rebounds, but should have had a pretty good game. And this is a great matchup versus Atlanta. They have no one that could contend with him down low or just on the perimeter, whatever. They ranked 29th versus power forwards and 27 versus centers. It's a nice fast-paced matchup. Certainly like Kristaps here if he plays, but again, there's a good chance he could sit as well. So don't want to go too in-depth on him, but 1.23 points per minute, 26.4% usage rate. If he plays and he's a full go, yeah, fine. But if not, obviously we can't play him. So and that opened up some more minutes to guys like Maxi Kleber, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Big price dump down here to Bojan at 6,500. So he's never an exciting play, but I don't even know if I should say he's a safe play, but he's always like a lineup filler. I'm never going on my way to play Bojan. He's kind of just that guy, hey, I have how many X salary left, and that's Bojan's price. I could plug him in and hope for the best. That's kind of what Bojan is. He's never an exciting play, but he gets a good spot here versus Houston. It's a 235 total and only a 2.5 point spread, so expect a lot of points to be scored in this game, and Vegas does too. The Jazz have a 118.75 implied team total, which is one of the highest on the slate. Also a nice pace-up spike here for the Jazz. They are 27th in pace of play, and Houston is 5th, so definitely like that. And on the year, he's got a 25.9% usage rate, which is very, very solid, averaging over 33 minutes per game, and he's at 0.93 points per minute. So Bojan, I think he's fine. If you head over to the DVP chart, Houston does rank 28th versus shooting guards, 26th versus small forwards. So this is a really good matchup for Bojan, so we can certainly look his way. And right below me, we have Robert Covington, Rocco. So they upped his price a little bit, but he's been playing pretty well. The past 2 games, he's had at least 30 fantasy points. Had a really good game last time. I forget who they were playing. Who were they playing the last night? Not last night, but the night before that. I don't even remember. But I don't think it was Utah. No, it wasn't. But either way, he played really well. I wish I could remember who it was, but yeah, I don't. But he's been pretty solid on Houston. He's not a high usage rate kind of guy, but he does a little bit of everything in the stat sheet. He'll get some steals, he'll get some blocks. If he's hot from 3, he's going to hit his potential like he has been the past couple of games. Got him for over 30 minutes here. Should play minutes in the mid-30s, and on the year, 0.95 points per minute. Again, that's mostly on a different team, but you can kind of expect similar production here, but he's on a better offense. So, yeah, Robert Covington, he's obviously fine below 6K. His price is getting a little bit up there, but they're going to need his defense out there versus Utah, so you can certainly look his way. A lot of points are going to be scored in this game. Thaddeus Young, he murdered last time out. He ended up scoring, 48 fantasy points. I did not end up playing him. I believe it was versus Charlotte, if I remember correctly. Pretty sure. But, yeah, I almost played him. Then I ended up I still had him on my cheat sheet, but I ended up pivoting off him last minute, which, not last minute, but you know what I mean. But he ended up crushing. I wish I didn't do that, but he's another good spot here versus Phoenix. They've struggled with big men all season. On the year, they rank 14th versus power forwards and 21st versus centers. There's just a lot of missing bodies for Chicago, so he's going to have to step up. He should play minutes in the mid-30s. If you look at his numbers on the season, he's at 0.88 points per minute, but if you take all those guys at the court, he's pretty much about a point per minute guy, which will take it nearly 35 minutes. So if that is young, you can certainly look his way into a nice pace-up spot for the Bulls as well. Goran Dragic, Tyler Hero continues to be out, so if this game doesn't stay close, he's probably going to be on the lower end of 25 to 30 minutes. I think that's pretty much his minute range. If the game stays close, I could see him pushing for 30, but assuming this game is the way it should probably play out, you might get low mid-20s minutes, which is not great, but his price is not too bad. And if you take Tyler Hero off the court, he's close to a point per minute guy, which is kind of on par with what he is this season, 1.02 points per minute. But his usage rate does go up a little bit from 25% to closer to 30%. Not going to play huge minutes, but it's just such a good matchup for a guard versus Cleveland, 30th versus point guards, 30th versus shooting guards. So you can certainly look around Dragic's way, but just know that there is potential for this game not being able to stay close. And no, I was not flipping off the camera. If you saw that, I got cut my fingers. I was just playing with it really quick. But yeah, just know the risks with this game blowing out. All right, below we have Kevin Herter. His last name's a little weird to say, but Kevin, he's fine. I just want exposure to this game, so I had him listed here. He's got 30-point upside. We've seen some games where he plays extremely well. A lot of those games tend to be when Trae Young doesn't play, but he's still fine at this price tag. He has been around 6K, so they did drop his price a little bit, which I thought was a little generous. But yeah, we have a near 240 total here. A lot of points are going to be scored in this game. I think he's fine at this price tag. On the year, he's at 0.84 points from the 17% usage rate. Not the strongest numbers in the world, but I think he can get us 25-plus fantasy points, so we will take it. I like the game environment here a lot. Terry Rozier, he did not have the best of games recently, but he's pretty cheap, and he's going up against Brooklyn, and Brooklyn does struggle versus guards. They're ranked 25th versus point guards, 5th versus shooting guards, which is not bad, but I think Rozier is going to be fine. Pace-up spot here for the Charlotte Hornets, as they rank dead last, 30th in pace-up play, while Brooklyn is 9th, so I always like getting guys in pace-up spots. And on the year, he's at 0.94 points from the 23.7% usage rate. He's fine. Not going to go on my way to play Terry Rozier, but he's fine. Seth Curry. So if Kristaps is out, everyone's going to get a little bit of a bump here, and I'd probably have some other guys listed, but not totally sure yet, so I didn't list all these Mavericks. But Curry's been playing pretty darn well recently. I don't remember what he did tonight, but he might not have been that great tonight. But before that, recently, he's been playing pretty well. He's at 5K and just a really good spot versus Atlanta. I've already talked about it so many times, but I'm just going to keep showing you Atlanta. They're so bad defensively. 28th versus shooting guards, 30th versus small forwards. You guys get the idea. They are just so bad. And then there's also a nice pace-up spot, which suits a guy like Curry well, a guy that's not afraid to shoot the ball a ton. So, yeah, we'll take it. Pace-up spot, like I said. On the year, numbers aren't great, but 0.82 points per minute, 18% usage rate, but we'll take it. So, Seth Curry, he's fine at this price tag. Satoransky, he comes in at 4,900. He's been playing pretty well recently. He's got a couple of 30-point games in a row. Gets a really good matchup here versus Phoenix, as they rank 17th versus point guards and 23rd versus shooting guards. Now, he's not the highest usage rate player in the world, playing alongside Zach LaVine, but he's below 5K. His price has come down, which doesn't make the most sense in the world, but we can certainly look his way. He should play minutes in the mid-30s, and he has been playing pretty well. On the year, 0.89 points per minute, but if you take all these guys off the court, close to a point per minute guy, and we will take that at 4,900, and that's especially in a good matchup versus Phoenix, so we can certainly look Satoransky's way. Kobe White, we can look his way as well. He's got a higher usage rate player than Satoransky. As you can see, he's all the way up to 23.1%. Although he's a bit more volatile, he's got a pretty big ceiling. We know the guy can shoot threes, but he's a little bit riskier of a play, but I think he's probably your better GPP play, but he's also a little bit cheaper, so you could probably look to him in cash and GPP, but I feel like I'd rather lean Satoransky in cash, but you can make a case for both in either format. But yeah, Kobe White, he's fine. I just talked about the matchup versus Phoenix, so same exact thing, but you can look his way. On the year, he's at 0.85 points per minute, so don't mind Kobe White. Cody Zeller, he's not going to play the biggest minutes in the world, but you certainly got to like the matchup as a big versus Brooklyn. I'm not saying he's Joel Embiid whatsoever, but we just saw Joel Embiid absolutely murder this team down low. Again, Cody Zeller's not even half the man Joel Embiid is, but Zeller's not too bad. I mean, he's over a point per minute guy this season. He's averaging 23 minutes per game, 1.04 points per minute. Do the math. He's averaging close to 25 fantasy points a game, which is not too bad at 4,700. And 20% usage rate's not bad either. And like I said, Brooklyn's just very, very bad down low. They're ranked 28th versus centers, giving up 55.7 points per game. So Cody Zeller, I think he's fine. It's also a pace-up spot. PJ Washington, he had a pretty good game last time out, as did Cody Zeller. He's going to play more minutes than Zeller, but not as good point per minute wise. Only 0.84 points per minute with a 17% usage rate, but minutes make up for that a little bit. It's a good matchup versus Brooklyn. He's more of a lineup filler. These guys are all lineup fillers, really. I'm not going to my way to play them. So you can look his way. Josh Richardson, he comes in at 4,400. Still seems a bit cheap. I know he had a really good game last time out. He had another really good game before that. Ben Simmons is expected to be back, so it's going to put a little bit of a damper on things. But we saw right before the break, Richardson still had a really good game with Ben Simmons playing. So, 4,400 just seems a bit cheap here. Nice pace-up spot versus Milwaukee, as Milwaukee is first in pace of play and the 76ers are 18th. Now, this is not a good matchup. Milwaukee is a very good defensive team. If I can find them, I'll tell you about them. Yeah, so Milwaukee, I believe they're top 10, right behind Dallas. But 8th versus shooting guards, 9th versus small forwards. So this is not a good matchup for Richardson, but the price is pretty nice. On the season, 0.85 points per minute with a 21.7% usage rate. So you can look his way. Not like a lock and load kind of guy, but he's fine. Tarion Prince, 4,200. This just seems a little bit too cheap for him. Now, I'd pull up the numbers, but I have to change his name. I have to play around with his name because his name's on Basketball Reference is Tarion Waller Prince. I don't know why, but DraftKings does not have that as his name, so you got to play around with it a little bit. But he's not a point per minute guy or anything, but should get close to 30 minutes here, and he should be able to pay off his 4,200 price tag. He is grading out pretty well in early preliminary projections as of right now, but pace down spot versus Charlotte, but as a power forward, small forward, whatever, it's a pretty good matchup versus Charlotte. If we head over to the DVP chart, they do rank 17th versus small forwards and 26th versus power forwards. So this is a pretty good matchup for Tarion Prince. Right below me, I have PJ Tucker, who is the nastiest guy to roster in DFS because his numbers are just so bad. If you look at his usage rate, it's sickening. As you can see, he's got some dark shades of red here. He's at 0.62 points per minute. He plays like 40 minutes a game, but he's only at 0.62 points per minute, which is terrible. But in an 8.8% usage rate. That's also awful. He basically just gets the ball in the corner and will shoot an occasional three or maybe get some rebounds. But the last game, he was hitting threes. I think he hit like 4 or 5, if I remember correctly. He was hitting his threes, and if he can do that, he's going to pay off his 4K price tag. Now, this is not a good matchup versus Utah. It's also a pace down spot for the Rockets, but Rockets usually tend to push the pace anyway. But if you head over to the DVP chart, Utah, they do rank 14th versus centers and 6th versus power forwards. Not the greatest matchup in the world for PJ Tucker, and it's also a really tough matchup. Just to try and guard Rudy Gobert, he's going to outmatch him pretty handedly. But he's going to play big minutes, and if he hits a couple of threes, he'll be fine. So Maxi Kleber, so as you can see, he's only projected for low 20s minutes here, but this is assuming Kristaps plays. If Kristaps doesn't play, you could probably get that up to near 30. And at 3,900 versus Atlanta, we will take that for sure. Atlanta, again, 27 versus centers, 29 versus power forwards. That's pretty self-explanatory. And if you take a guy like Kristaps Porzingis off the court, obviously his numbers are going to skyrocket. He's at 0.81 points per minute, 13% usage rate. Take Kristaps off the court, it's over 0.9 points per minute. So Maxi Kleber definitely would be fine and get closer to 30 minutes if Kristaps happens to miss. Eric Gordon, I have not seen his official status yet, so I should probably check that really quick. Yeah, I just did a double check. I did not see an official word on Eric Gordon's status. So if we assume he plays, he should get close to 30 minutes, and his price is just a little bit too low. He's never that exciting of a play when Russell Westbrook and James Harden are both healthy, but 3,600, he's been priced around 5K, so you'll take the discount there for sure, and he should be able to pay off his price tag. Was it the game when Russell Westbrook, Clint Capella, and James Harden were all out? I believe it was versus Utah, where Gordon had 72 fantasy points. Obviously, he's not going to replicate that, but he knows the team well, that's for sure. But yeah, he's not going to handle the same offensive load that he did. But a lot of points are going to be scored in this game. On the year, Eric Gordon's at a 22.1% usage rate, 0.78 points per minute. If he's good to go, I don't hate it at 3,600. I think you could do a lot worse. Shaquille Harrison, he comes in at 3,500. So he ended up not starting the last game. He was still chalky, and he still was a point per minute guy. I told you if you took all those guys off the court, he was about a point per minute guy. He played about 18 minutes, scored about 18 fantasy points. So it's pretty much right on par. I might be a little bit aggressive having him over 24, 20-ish minutes here, considering I only played 18 in the last game, but might be a little bit generous here, so I might have to knock that down tomorrow. But it's like 1 a.m., so give me a break a little bit. But he should be fine. A point per minute guy at 3,500. He should get around 20 minutes, and he can pay off his price tag at 3,500. Good matchup versus Phoenix. I don't hate it. Hutchinson's going to be out again. Markkanen's out. Wendell Carter Jr.'s out. And Porter's out. So, yeah, a lot of minutes to go around for this team. And then Gafford, he's dirt cheap at 3K. He should play about 20 minutes here going up against Phoenix, who does struggle with big men. I don't mind it. If you ever to the DVP chart, Phoenix does rank 21st versus center. So, you can look Gafford's way. I don't hate it. 0.86 points per minute on the year. Not great, but again, there's a lot of guys that are out for the Chicago Bulls. So, he's going to be forced into minutes, and that's pretty much going to be it for this player-by-player breakdown. Before we get out of here, I do want to talk about the sponsor of the show, OverlayDFS.com. Okay, guys, so if you're new to the channel, this is OverlayDFS.com, a very new, fun DFS website to play on. It's more based for the casual user. You don't have to worry about sharks here like Chipotle mass entering all your contests and just destroying sometimes. Not all the time, but you don't have to worry about those kind of mass multi-entry sharks over here. Not too many people have come over and played yet. Hopefully that changes. We want more people to come over and play. But yeah, I would really recommend it. I would not recommend this to you guys if I didn't play there myself. Unfortunately, I did pretty trashy tonight. As you can see, I went 5-7 in my picks. It did not work out tonight, guys. But I've been having a pretty good year over there. Not year, but ever since they invited me over, I've been doing pretty well, and I really do enjoy sweating the games out over there. My most favorite thing about them is their payout structure. So if you finish in the top 10% of their contests, you win 9 extra money. If you look at Draftkings to win 9 extra money, it's extremely, extremely difficult. So I really like the payout structure here, and they also have a couple I wouldn't say gimmick, but gimmicky prizes over here. So if you go 12-0 on your picks, you can win the progressive jackpot. Now that's not easy to do because this jackpot has risen about $8,000 since they've had me come on over. But if you go 12-0 on your picks, a couple of guys have been close every single night. I mean, you had a guy go 10-2 tonight. If you just get 2 more picks right, you can take home over $11,000. That's going to get closer to $12,000 tomorrow. So do not miss out on a chance to win $12,000. You're going to have to beat me because I definitely want it too. But it's the 22 double deuce contest. If you enter it, you have a chance of winning but close to $12,000. So someone's going to win it. Why not you? And they're also running if you go 0-12 on your picks, God forbid that happens to you. But if you happen to go 0-12 on your picks, they will actually give you $500 for having the worst day of your life. And also, they're also running a slump buster program, challenge, whatever you want to call it, or if you lose 20 days in a row, not 20 consecutive days, but say you play once a week for 20 weeks in a row and you happen to lose every single day, they will refund every single dollar that you deposited. So check it out, guys. OverlayDFS.com. It's just a pick-em-based website. There's no salary cap restrictions. Like if you thought Bojan was going to outscore Larry Nance, you picked Bojan. Obviously, that was not the case. If you thought AD was going to outscore Nikola Jokic, didn't look like it was going to be the case for a while, but ended up outscoring him. And obviously, you won that matchup, so I'd be 1-1 from those first 2 matchups. It's as simple as that, guys. And if you happen to finish the top 10%, like I said, you win 9 extra money. So, for example, this is the $22 double deuce contest. If you happen to place in the top 10%, you win $180. It's as simple as that. They pay you out quick. I'm talking within hours, and I'm not just talking about to your account balance. I'm talking about into your bank account. So I like the guys over there. Good people, good customer service. So check it out. OverlayDFS.com. No promo code required. They might have one. I don't know, but it's not from me. And there's no special link, and I'm not going to link it below because I don't want my YouTube channel getting banned. So that's exactly how it sounds, guys. OverlayDFS.com. Go try it out. Go try to win that $12,000 because I'm certainly going to be trying. So, all right, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Hope it was helpful. If it was, remember to leave a like. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Really helps me out. Really appreciate it. Hit me up on Twitter at ChrisPennell16 if you want access to any of my NBA content or the NASCAR content that's going to be coming out tomorrow. Hit the link in the description below for my Patreon. I've been talking too much. My jaw hurts really bad, so I'm going to sign off. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you in the next video.